some of the examples of what we can do, and I'm not going to go through all of them. You can explore that on your own. You can change the shell material of each single one of basically the toms, the snares, whatever you want. You can change the shell material, so maple, birch, I think there's even aluminum in there. Aluminum, brass, whatever you want, you can do that. So you can see here at the top left-hand corner, you can see shell, and then what type of material it is and how deep you want it. So that'll go back to the whole preference. As for now, we're just having the maple kit set up, and we'll kind of deal with that a little later. The head, the different types of heads that we can use. So there's pinwheel, there's coated, there's clear. So each one of those has a different sound, so they've basically generated that electronically. And then we can muffle it, we can mic it, okay? And same thing with the cymbals, we can add, if you look on the right side, we can add sizzle, we can add more sustain, we can change the mic position as well. And then it's got an example down there of on the bottom right-hand corner there, the different types of beaters we can have. So you can go with felt or plastic or whatever your preference is. Okay, next slide. All right, you can see up there about the muffling part. So we can muffle or mute. Each different type of preference will be for the bass kick. We can also add snare buzz. I like snare buzz. Does anybody know what snare buzz is? Marianne's looking at me, no idea what snare buzz is. So when we first brought the kit out and we played, there was a lot of complaints that it didn't sound like a regular kit, right? And the reason why it doesn't sound like a regular kit is when you have just an electronic sound, it just sends the pure sound out. But when you play an acoustic set, whenever you hit a tom or you kick the bass, the snare buzzes. So now this has the capability of also doing that, where you can set it up so that you have snare buzz and it sounds more realistic as you're playing it. You can do it for each one of the settings for the toms and I think the kick. So as your closest tom is there, you get more sound buzz, or the further away you get, the less sound snare buzz you get. Anyway, we can change the size of the crash and the different types of crashes that are out there. So that kit has two different types. There's a metal one, which is a AA, which gives you kind of a darker sound. Now the kit comes with darker cymbals, you just have to find them. And then it's got a lighter thin 16, which is a very crashy, high, low sustained cymbal. So we can also do that with our wonderful brain. Okay, next one. So live settings, I'm just going to read these verbatim. You guys can explore these on your own. So live setting V-drums are packed with a variety of editing functions that drummers can use to create their own signature sounds. We talked about that a bit, as well as professional spec mixes and outputs. So that's what we're going to kind of do a little bit later, that gives the drummer and audio technicians the tools they need to set up efficiently and deliver a compelling live sound. So we're kind of hoping to at least do one kit tonight and one sound setup tonight so that we have that set up. Okay, next one, buddy. All right, so the V-drums, they do come with equalizer inside the brain, and it also comes with a compressor. So for you sound guys who are familiar with that sort of stuff, what we're planning on doing tonight is hopefully not using any of this stuff and just sending raw signal to the board so that we can just get a baseline to see how it sounds while other instruments are being played. And if we have to add compressor, equalizer, we'll do that. The end product, what I'll do is, if anybody has to leave this evening, I'll just do a quick write-up on what we changed for any of the sound guys that are going to go, or the drummers that are going to go a little, if you can't stick around. And I'll hand that out next Sunday, okay? All right, next one. All right, so a mix in, we talked about that earlier, about bringing in all of the stage instruments so that we can hear them in the headset. We can also put a CD player through there if you want to jam through that. That's kind of more of the home use, I guess, or the personal use. Okay, next one. All right, so me and Mike have kind of talked in excess almost about this. And for months now, we've been scratching our heads trying to figure out how we're going to do this. And after much deliberation and many consults, we're basically, at least I'm of the opinion, Mike hasn't heard this drum set as of yet in this auditorium, so we're going to kind of lean on his expertise here in a few minutes. But when you sit down at the drum set, this is kind of what I've found in the last little while, that ambient sound, so that AMB, and the multi-effects, and if you want to explore those a little later, you can. Basically what the ambient sound is, it sends out the signal to make it sound like in your headset, you're playing in a stadium, okay? So we have the ability here to change the size of the room electronically, the ability to change what's actually on the walls of the room. So you can put carpet, steel, wood. So it gets to be really in-depth as to what you can do with this. However, having said that, sound generation to make it sound like a stadium is kind of, in my mind, almost useless because we are generating that sound in here already. So in order to get the raw, yeah. You can have both. So what I've done is I've left it for now so that it does send it through the left and the right channels, okay? But we have the option to turn it off, okay? Now if we find that from the sound perspective, it sounds better without it, we can go in and just turn them off. But I wanted to leave that there for tonight and for the next little bit so that we explore that sort of as a group. So ambient sound, turn it off for now, and the multi-effects, turn it off for now. And if you go to the next slide, buddy, it shows everybody how to do that. Okay, so once you press Kit and F4, or if you go back to the previous one, buddy, just go, it says FX SW. If you hit that button, okay, next slide, this is the screen that should show up. And all you have to do is hit the coinciding F button, basically. I've got it all written out there, but basically it's the coinciding F button underneath either ambience or multi-effects. And you can see it's off in the multi-effects and it's on in the ambience for now. So hopefully we won't have to turn everything off in order to get this thing to work, but if we do, I'll let you guys know, okay? Or if you're here tonight, you'll kind of explore that. Okay, last one. Troubleshooting and question and answer. So I kind of hit most of these points. You know, I'll have two types of drummer manuals. Now, you've got the first one, which is the simple one. And this is the geek one. So this is the full manual for the V-drums. We're going to keep them here, okay? And we're going to put it up someplace in the sound booth up there. Now, there isn't a troubleshooting area on this, okay, where you can say, okay, well, I'm having trouble here. Where do I go? All right? Yeah, that's, so we're kind of hoping to hit some of those points as we go through the night, kind of setting the drum kit up. Well, I talked about the drum sticks themselves, only use basically clean ones. And then the checklist, I've got it started here, and I'm going to hand it out as we kind of go along because I think it's more of a work in progress. And I'm hoping to have kind of a checklist for at least the maple kit tonight once we get all done. And I'm going to actually attach to there for a couple of weeks so that all the drummers can kind of go through the routine of doing the checklist, and also the sound people going through the checklist so that they're kind of familiar with that. And once again, the ambient sound and the effects. Now, does anybody have any questions thus far?